Joe Budden's co-host called him out for leaving them off the billboard.
I would like to congratulate you on the Joe Budden Podcast Jumbotron billboard picture I see here.
Are we all on the picture?
No.
What the you could have arranged for that to happen.
No, it's a regular picture that was taken on the balcony.
And check this.
See, let me see.
No, check this. You want to know what my grievance card said? You want to know what my grievance card said?
It's something about this room.
Anonymity. Guess what I said in my grievance card? More transparency.
That's right, y'all. On the most recent Patreon, Joe Budden, he kind of did something interesting for the cast. He reminded them of their place within the podcast. There's a Patreon billboard in Manhattan, and currently he's the only one on it. Now, the rest of the cast was poking fun at it, but if you are someone who does the science, you would realize that this has echoes from previous iterations of the show. Most specifically, when Joe Budden went to Spotify, and as Joe would describe, the Spotify execs would not want Rory N Mal on the branding.
Yo, I pick the pictures of all of us. I go up to Spotify and say, this is what it is. I want me and my guys on the billboards. Know what they say? No. They said no. You're the pod. We're going to sell it this way.
But Joe Budden claims that he fought for Rory and Mal for them to be on the branding and it would be done. I also want to say that Joe has a history of this because he also said when he did Rage and the Machine with, I believe it was an E-Rab or something like that, some other producer, you know, like when they were all of the rappers in Slaughterhouse were doing an album with a producer like Royce da 5'9" and DJ Premier were doing, that E-Rab was told that he would be part of the branding and that the label was like, nah, Joe, you're supposed to be part of the branding.
When I had the genius idea, to me anyway, of doing this in Rage and the Machine album with A-Rab.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like this keeps happening to Joe over and over. I don't know if this is intentional at this point. Now, did Joe really consider the cast for this Patreon billboard? I'm gonna say absolutely not. I think Joe just pays lip service to inclusivity, all of that stuff, as he sees fit. Like, now the podcast is called the Joe Budden Podcast. There's no with anyone else. It's just him. And we have to shoot him some bail, like with Joe Rogan. You know, there's nobody else on the branding. It's simply Joe Rogan. And the podcast is named after him. This isn't a earn your leisure situation where all members of the show are typically put on the show that they are on. Like Ian, Rashawn, and Troy are all on the show. Or Desus and Mero, where they share the branding. Or Rory and Mal, where they share the branding. Decisions, where they share the branding. This is the Joe Budden Podcast. And I think Joe Budden largely did this to assure that nobody could ever devalue his show again. When Rory and Mal left, they took a lot of value with them. And now, if any member of the show leaves because they are not on the branding, they won't take any value with them as well. And even Melyssa Ford highlights something that was interesting. It was this idea, this theory that Joe Budden was some type of creative at Patreon. And Joe says he's not. And I firmly believe he is not, because remember when he said he was the creator of equity, blah, blah, blah. And I think even Jack Conte, the CEO or the lead person at Patreon, affirmed it. After the whole fallout with See the Thing Is and the Olivia Dope scandal, Joe never really mentioned it again. So it seemed like there was some behind the scenes dealings that would up and that deal. But let me know what you think in the comments. Do you feel like Joe owes it to the cast to put them on any of the branding? And not even owes it, because I know that's a trigger word for Joe, but maybe lobby, maybe try to elevate the morale of the show and put them on the, branding or any of that. Because, hey, man, they did that improper improv poster for Flip, and I must tell you, it looked a lot different than what Patreon did for Joe. I guess there's levels to this, but let me know what you think. Now, this was on the most recent Patreon episode, and one thing I have to say is that as a result of moving into Park's basement, it seems like the vibe has changed. A lot of people are noticing that certain members are acting great or acting different. And one of those is Melyssa Ford. They said on this Patreon episode, Melyssa Ford was amazing. Apparently she was drinking. So people were saying online, man, they were saying she was off the mimosas again and that she was doing a good job. And she also did another episode previously where she was on the mimosas and she was great. So it seems like when Melyssa Ford's inhibitions are down, she starts to pod. But I think there's something other people aren't focusing on, is Flip hasn't been present for the last couple episodes. And now y'all gonna say it's because of beef that I'm mentioning this, but it's really not. The episode without Flip that they did in Park's basement, many people online were saying they loved it. And then the Patreon episode that comes out the day of the free pod, or that they record the day of the free pod, people say that they love it. And I think what it is with Flip is, since he is COE, he clashes with Joe. Not in the sense that they are at odds, but just because it's two COE people and it makes everybody go on their defensive, right? Because if you say something, Flip or Joe are going to misinterpret it for a storyline. So with Joe just around, it's easy to kind of, well, not easy, easier to find your voice and just speak. And then when Joe was not around and Flip was the A mic, same thing, Joe wasn't around. So now all you gotta do is deal with one person. The cast kind of feels comfortable combating that COE person. Like, man, that's not what happened. Man, shut up. And that's what, when the two, Joe and Flip, are together, people ain't feeling that. People start to shut down. You don't want narratives to be planted. And I'm gonna be talking about something else that happened this episode in regards to Ice, because Ice remains someone who's interesting in the podcast. I still don't think Ice is the best podder. I don't think he's ever been somebody that stands out. But as time went on, I started to realize, hey, what it is with this guy is that he is the connective tissue. You know he's going to show up. You know he's going to be on time. You know he's going to own up to his flaws. You know he is not going to think he's bigger than the show. I mean, he's a humble guy. On a Patreon episode, he said that he was learning cybersecurity skills because he doesn't think, or he doesn't, like, in case the Joe Budden podcast falls apart, he has to have a backup plan. It just shows you his humbleness, his pragmatism. He's saying, like, hey, just because this is a special time, just because everything's going good right now, it doesn't mean that 20 years from now I'm going to be working in this. And that's actually a good idea by Ice. And it just shows you the way he approaches life. It's simple. And I think that's why he's so important to the show. Far be it for me to act like what you do on camera is the only thing that matters. What you do behind the scenes is just as important. Like, Parks is infinitely more important than Flip. If Flip were ever to disrespect Parks, Flip would be gone. Right? We'd be like, all right, Flip, you took it too far. Get out of here. Parks he's way more important than what you got going on. Same with Ian. If Flip were to disrespect Ian, all right, Flip, all right, you bugging out. Ian's way more important than you. So the behind the scenes value is something we got to calculate moving forward. Because just because someone is of high value in front of the camera, it doesn't mean that they do a lot behind it. All right, y'all. That's my video for now. Follow me on Twitter. Oh boy, it's going crazy on Twitter right now. Your boy is in a lot of drama. So follow me there and you'll be able to keep up. Shout out to the Clippers out there. Shout out to Too Clean. Shout out to Kitchen. He's not a Clipper anymore. He's doing commentary. That's my guy, man. I'm so proud of him, making great content. But shout out to the rest of y'all. Follow me on Instagram as well. Follow me on Patreon. We're getting more subs over there. I'm working on getting an interview with a podcaster. I haven't done an interview in a while, largely because, man, it's hard to have to navigate relationships with podcasters. They do an interview with you and then they expect you to cover them a certain way. And it's just like, I don't want to do all that, man. And they feel entitled to talk to you any type of way. It's like, just because I sat down with you or just because you sat down with me don't mean I got to treat you any different, bro. But then again, no friends in the industry. This is Danny from The Stop. Peace.